calling to order. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Amy, would you do a roll call for us, please?
Commissioner Ashford?
Here.
Commissioner Banks?
Here.
Commissioner Hassler? Commissioner Wild?
Here.
Well, good morning. Happy fall. Before we get started in the details of our meeting, we're going to ask for another moment of silence. We do this too often, way too frequently with too many people. Obviously for our fallen officers, including St. Louis Metro Police Officer David Lee, other first responders who've lost their lives here more recently, and we've lost several of our retirees in the last couple of weeks, so we want to make sure that we have a moment of silence for them too. They have passed, so if you would join us in a moment of silence, we would appreciate it. Thank you. We led with Happy Fall. My wife and I were talking last night, and it is 23 days to Halloween, for those of you who have kids and are keeping track of that. Thanksgiving, 51 days away, and year end is 84, which means all the other big holidays are less than 84 days. Yeah, I see the heads going up and down. It's like, oh boy. That's what my wife and I did last night. So anyway, Happy Fall. Part of the Happy Fall in those holidays to our Jewish friends and colleagues. We wish you health and prosperity for Rosh Hashanah, so Shana Tove, and for Yom Kippur, which starts later this week. Please have an easy feast and have a good holy day. So with that, anything else, gentlemen? Oh, thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. If you rise and join us for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. I had it in my notes. I skipped right past it.
Wingman's for.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Chief, it looks like we have a lot of things to celebrate today with all the accommodations, the awards, the recognition. But before we do all that, we want to celebrate one more thing. Any idea what that might be? We'll take him off the hook.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, okay. So somebody is celebrating a birthday today. Chief, who might that be?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Well, Chief, we'll have, we're gonna roast you a little bit. At least, thanks for being a good sport about it. You always are, but we wish you a happy birthday. And part of that happy birthday with maybe 40 of your closest friends and dearest colleagues and veterans here, we have Miss Vera to lead us in a happy birthday. So, see? We had to roast you. We had to. Yep.
Ready.
Happy birthday.
Birthday to you.
Happy
Birthday to you.
Happy
Birthday, dear Chief.
Happy
Birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha.
Thank you, Vera.
You're all too much. I really do appreciate it. You know, it's a blessing just to be here another year. I think we all look at it that way. Every birthday that we have, that we're here to celebrate that day. So thank you much. It's rough being 37. You know.
Hey, Chief, I offered to jump out of a cake, but I got voted down 2-1.
Unanimously.
Yeah, it's rough being 37, but you might want to turn that number around.
Well, if you will give us some advice, so when Commissioner Banks, Commissioner Wild, and I turn 37, we would like to know what
I
you.
know what it is, right?
Well,
Thank you.
happy birthday. You are welcome. Thanks for being
Appreciate
such a good sport around it. And with that, we are going to turn it over to you because
Thank
you
you.
have a lot of stuff to do.
First on the agenda, I have a Chief's commendation for Police Officer Mike Wadlow. Mike, come on up. Oops. Congratulations, sir. And we're going to take a picture.
Mhm.
Here, that's yours. You can hold it. All right.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. It's all right. Here, you're up here.
I'm Pat Bradley. I work in North County Precinct Supervisor. Pleasure working next to him. Officer Wild is assigned a permanent beat, which is Glasgow Village. It's in between Spanish Lake and City of St. Louis. He does excellent work every day. This is just a glimpse of one of the cases. he got a call for shots fired in the neighborhood of Glasgow Village. When he got there, there was a child that said that his father had shot him numerous times with a firearm. He got there, he had assisting officers help him. He secured the child in a safe place, surrounded the house, attempted to get the suspect to come out of the house. However, he did not comply. He got a search warrant to the prosecuting attorney's office and got it signed by a judge, came back to the house. Guy gave up, and they ended up executing the search warrant and got the gun out of the house. The guy tried to hide it in like a clock inside the house. So he interviewed the suspect. The guy made a lot of incriminating statements. Very thorough officer. He got warrants issued for his arrest, got him held, and wrote a very good police report. The guy actually pled guilty, I think it was like 4 months ago, and he's already pled guilty. He's in prison. He is one of our best officers in the North County Precinct. So.
Mike, got anybody here with you?
Yeah, of course.
Want to introduce?
My name is Michael Wadlow. I work.
No, introduce. We know who you are.
Oh, I was like, okay, what did you say?
Got any family here with you?
I do not.
No, no, okay, fine. Hey, look, told me that you close your eyes when you. Glasgow Village, there you go.
If you need
There
me,
you-
call me. I work midnight.
You closed your eyes when we took a picture, so we gotta take another picture. Okay. Thank you, man. All right. Next up, we have some more accommodations. Captain Brian Shellman, Miss Erica Harden, Marissa Williams, Abigail Ochelin, Alexandra Noble, and Rachel Stark. Nope, that's Conway. Here we go. Captain, it's yours, sir. Marissa? Erica? Abigail? Rachel? And Alexandra. We're going to get some more plaques here before long. Lieutenant, you're up, sir.
Thanks, sir. Chief, commissioners, happy fall, y'all. Thank you guys for being here, for classing this place up a little. We appreciate that. So I love when we get to talk about people that are relatively unheralded, and they're not unheralded in our office or in headquarters. Everybody that's in this building knows what the staff of the Bureau of Research and Analysis do. They're problem solvers, and they're idea people, and they're fantastic. Over the last 4 years, there's only, well, let me back up a little bit. There's only a few ways that you get to demonstrate and model that. The community asks us to build integrity, trust, and confidence. And one of the ways that we get to demonstrate and model that is through our CALIA process. The CALIA process, if you're not aware of it, is a series of 461 standards that these fine folks behind me get to prove. These are things like, are your officers wearing reflective safety vests on traffic accidents? And I've personally witnessed people go so far as to look at body camera footage to find the reflection of an officer in the mirror of a car to prove that. So these are little small things that they go through to justify and these standards. Over the last 4 years, we participated in this quadrennial process, a 4-year process. They do online assessments of our policies. They do in-person inspections, and the doors are open. Check the whole coverage, right? We pass without flying, with flying colors. These are ones that are the hard work of these fine men and women here. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you for all the things that people don't see that you do, that we all know you do. Things like the strategic plan that you're going to hear about later on, and all the numbers and all the stuff that they do. It's just, doesn't ever get noticed enough, and certainly doesn't ever get talked about. So we're very grateful to all of you.
and we wouldn't be here without you. Thank you.
You know, our agency has been CLIA accredited for probably about 30 years now. And it's an accreditation that only a number of police agencies have throughout the nation. And it's a high standard that we set to be a part of that. We have to volunteer to be a part of that accreditation unit, CLIA. There are probably about 480 standards that they require that we meet. And these people they're here to make sure that we meet those standards. And it's a 4-year process. We just got our recent approval from CLIA. I've always told them I'm an assessor myself, and when I go out to do assessments, I tell the accreditation team, take a few days off after you've completed this. The next week, you got to get back to work because it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing, and they have to make sure that we're up to standards every year. So great job by all of you. Appreciate it. Thank you much. You going anywhere yet? Captain, got anybody here with you?
I don't have anybody here with me, but I do want to say something real quick. For everybody that knows me, which should be everybody here, I'm not one to get easily embarrassed. Just understand that when I wrote them up for this award, this is not about me. I didn't do anything. Those are the hard workers.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody threw my name in writing on that sheet, apparently. So it's appreciated. But again, this isn't about me. This is about them and the hard work that they do over a 4-year cycle, which was fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you all. You guys got anybody here with you? Anybody want to introduce? Come on, stand up. Who?
She's here for all.
She's here. Thank you for being here. Yes.
One thing, we have Sergeant Kim Miner and Ms. Jacqueline Lamb is not here. They were also out here being awarded, so just wanted to mention their name.
Thank you. Get in here. Center here somewhere. How about here?
Perfect. Okay, everybody right here. Great, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, man, you keep doing your thing, huh? Congratulations, well done. Good to see you.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah, we see you all the time.
Next up, we have Police Officer Michael Conley for a Life Saving Award. Michael, come up. Congratulations. It's yours. Don't close your eyes, okay? All right. Lieutenant?
Members of the police board, Chief Greger, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot of great officers in the North County Precinct today. It is an honor and a privilege to present Officer Mike Conley with the Life Saving Award. On the afternoon of Thursday, January 25th, 2024, Officer Conley was patrolling the North County Precinct. It was actually en route to a traffic accident. On his way to the traffic accident, he passed 12,500 block of Newhall's Ferry Road, and he came upon a barrage of gunfire. 12,500 Newhall's Ferry Road is kind of a strip mall with lots of businesses in the area. Saw a large crowd and immediately addressed the threat and went to the scene. Turned his lights and siren on, pulled into that parking lot, and there was people kind of running, scattering everywhere. He was able to remain calm under intense pressure and saw a suspect vehicle with occupants get into the vehicle and then leave the scene. He called out a vehicle description on that vehicle. As he's getting out of his car to see if there's any injuries, to kind of address the scene, a gentleman that had a gunshot wound to his femoral artery region on his left leg started approaching Officer Conley. Without hesitation, Officer Conley rendered aid to that victim, put a tourniquet on his femoral artery to kind of stop and minimize the bleeding, realizing that he had very little time to waste because of the significant injury, put him in the front seat of his patrol car and went straight to the hospital. Because of his actions, that gentleman that had the gunshot wound is alive today. He was able to be treated at the hospital and stabilized. This is outstanding work that Officer Conley did, and a great reflection of not only himself, but great job, Officer.
Anybody here with you?
Department family.
Department family. Best family you can have, man. other than your own.
Chief, we want to shake his hand too.
Yes.
Well done, man. Well done.
I don't know what happened. I think we're doing it again.
Next up, we have a certificate of recognition to Mrs. Tammy Marie Tuggle. Tammy, congratulations. It's yours, and we're going to take a picture here. Lieutenant?
Members of the board, Chief Gregory, Department of Family. Today, Ms. Tammy Marie Tuggle is being presented with a certificate of recognition. There's a lot I'm going to say about this right now. So Tammy has become probably best friends to everyone in the North County precinct. First and foremost, Tammy Tuggle is a longtime resident of Glasgow Village. She is the HOA president, and Tammy is outstanding to work with. Tammy is a go-getter. She gets things done. She is an absolutely great communicator. Because she's a great communicator, she's a great uniter. Because she's a great uniter, she builds great relationships. And those relationships include the fire department, the police department, the youth in Glasgow Village, the parents of the youth in Glasgow Village, business leaders, elected officials. There's a lot of people in this room right now that are here for Tammy Tuggle. She's an advocate of public safety. She's an advocate of our community. She does an outstanding job. It's been an honor and privilege to work with her the last 2 years. And I want to talk about a couple of things that Tammy has done that has been really helpful, and it's got a lot of forward momentum in Glasgow Village. So our police department has long done walk and talks. It's a great idea for officers to walk out in the community, talk to residents, find out what's going on in the community. Tammy has been incorporated into our walk and talks. So Tammy is side by side with the police officers in the community, along with members of the Department of Public Health of St. Louis County, violence prevention initiatives. Tammy is a team player. So we've done multiple walk and talks. We've done one in May, we've done in July, we're doing one next month. And we've talked to over hundreds of people during those walk and talks, provided a lot of resources to the community, addressed problems right then and there. Back in October of 2023, we did a cleanup build-up with the Urban League. A lot of this is spearheaded by Tammy. It's because of her initiative, because of her drive, because she wants the best for the community, and we want the best for the community too. So it's been a great partnership. Just next week, we did a career resource fair at Hazelwood School District. That was Riverview Garden School District, thank you. Riverview Garden School District, we had a career and resource fair, and Better Family Life was a big partner in that as well. And that was spearheaded by Tammy. Tammy's at the table at all these meetings that we have, and she's the driving force behind this. Sharing closet. What used to be an old fire department, also be used to be an old police substation, is now a sharing closet at Glasgow Village. It's the Glasgow Village Community Center. If you've been by there before, it's wonderful. Tammy's done a great job. It's a place for fellowship. It's a place for community members. They need to stop by and get basic resources, basic needs. Kids can hang out. We had National Night Out this last Friday. It was a success. The sharing closet is a place. It's kind of the hub of Glasgow Village. And they have this community interaction. And Tammy's a big part of that, scheduling that, and making it open to the public. And then big focus on youth engagement through police athletic league and school supplies. Tammy is really great at connecting. I mentioned earlier she's a uniter. She's great at building relationships. She's kind of our gateway to a lot of people in the community, and she builds those bridges. And it's an honor and a privilege to work with her. Next slide, please. This is just that's Tammy. This is a recent walk and talk we did this year. And next slide, please. And then, so this is what kind of Tammy does. Because of her partnerships, because of her relationships, she's able to bring a lot of cleanup areas to Glasgow Village. She used some of the bulldozer to Glasgow Village to help out clear a large area that had a lot of debris, trash. And now it's a huge field where the kids, the youth can play. So she's created a lot of opportunities for the youth in Glasgow Village, and that has paid dividends. And then that was a cleanup build-up event we had. Cameras, solar lights, just to make the community safer. Next slide. This is a great photo because this is stamped, embedded shows that she is wonderful to work with. And to put it simply, Tammy Tuttle gets things done. It is an honor to, for the St. Louis County Police Department to award Tammy with the certificate of recognition. Thank you for your work.
Tammy, I've heard so much about you.
Mhm.
This is our first time ever meeting, and with the work that you do up in Glasgow Village. I can remember my first day on field training, that was the area that I rode in Glasgow Village. And I know there have been a lot of changes in Glasgow Village, and I know that you and the people here are helping to bring that neighborhood back up, and can't thank you enough for what you do. We appreciate anything that we can do to help out in that area. We will continue to do. Thank you. Got anybody here with you today?
I have my mother, I
Uh-huh.
have my Aunt Tina, I have my friend Shantae, and all my police officer friends.
All right.
Police Schaefer, our old neighborhood, there she is. All my our officers is great. Everybody's been great. Thank you very much for this honor. It's very too much. But mostly thank you to the police department for you guys for what you do, because the village didn't want any of us doing anything. They just want help, and they didn't want to engage with anybody. So us being with you guys being with us, it's making them trust us, them trust you, us trust them. So it's making it all much better. For the past 6 months, we have had people come to us and say good things about the community and about the police officers. Before that, we weren't having that. So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse, for this mistake. Thank you.
Like to meet the board?
Thank you for all of it. Thank you.
Notice that. That's what's not.
Really something.
Yes.
Commissioner, that's all I have, sir.
Very good. Thank you. I like those types of meetings. Thank you all for being here, those family and friends, colleagues, because we had a lot of department family in here. Thank you very much for the impact you've had on the people who've had impact on others. So we appreciate that. With that, those of you who are guests, visitors, awardees, if you need to get back to work, we understand, but we're about to move into some details within our meeting. So feel free to leave now. And again, thank you all for what you do. Those awardees, we appreciate it. Those of you who support them, we deeply appreciate your engagement too.
Make a run for it.
Thank you.
What to say? Make a leave what you can.
Chief, we had Howard, another visitor with the VRC. I think he stepped out. We were going to just introduce him as we got into the nuts and bolts of the meeting. He may have left his.
Crease? The crease leave?
Yeah, he left.
Okay.
You
All
want him back?
No.
No, that's all right. We just want to recognize him now that he's
Okay.
been moved into the role. Somebody left their notebook. That's why we thought he might be coming back. Okay, thank you.
Comes back.
Yeah, when he comes back. Good point, sir.
We're up.
Yes, sir.
Terry, you up for the budget?
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, here we go. Great timing. We just wanted to acknowledge you too, Howard, and thank you very much. We'd love it if you would come up for just a minute at one of the microphones and do a quick introduction of yourself and what your role is going to be. And we wanted to say thank you for what we anticipate is going to be some great leadership. So,
Mr. Chairman, thank you to your fellow commissioners for everything that you do and for our police family. St. Louis County is grateful for you putting your lives on the line for all of us every day, day in, day out. It's been humbling here. The officer that saved a life, that young man could have been me growing up, could have been my brother, my cousin. And so that's what you do. Selfless work every day. We appreciate it. I'm Howard Hayes. I am assigned to special projects for County Executive's Office. I'm a part of the Save Lives Now initiative, which is headed by, well, there are no former officers. Officer Tom Cruise, who's the director. I want to recognize Tom Crease is the director. Tom, hey. Mhm. And then, of course, our colleague, Kenny Murdoch. Come on up, please. And so this is kind of a team you will see on and off. We know Tammy. I was with her on the night out. I want to again thank the chief and our team here for the support of that event. And as we move forward, we want you to know that everything you do is greatly appreciated by all of us. Thank you.
look forward to the partnership.
Thanks, Howard.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I will start with the 2024. I am projecting about a $12.9 million surplus. Keep in mind, 11 million of that is salaries and fringes. So to kind of put it in perspective. So I did include the 2 million for retirement, which I have left out all year because of the percentages. They raised it for one pay date, which was the last pay date of September, and then they put it back down and are reviewing it again in November. So it doesn't seem like I can get many answers there, but I think we're pretty good with 2 million. I did transfer 400,000 from salaries to buy vehicles for next year because this is the window for the factory. So they let us do that. Normally they don't let us take it from salaries, but we did just do that. I think that's on going to the council this week. And then still show a surplus in fuel and telephone and a shortage in vehicle maintenance are our largest ones. Then for 2025, I have nothing. Hopefully in November, I'll have something different for you, but we have the budget hearing October 22nd that the chief presents. That's it. Do you have any questions?
I think you answered the only one I had, which is it's about $2 million over where it was. You've answered, yeah. Thank you.
I added that. Hopefully I'm right.
Yeah, and the, looks like the overtime hours at the bottom basically remain relatively flat, yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Well, we look forward to next month and hearing from how the chief's presentation goes.
All right. Looking forward to that.
You do every year, sir, you do every year.
Captain, you're up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Should have Allie do this since she is here, but she's got little Freddie with her. It's exciting.
Again, Natalie, congratulations to all the captains pulling it up. You've been here twice now since the baby's been born, so thank you.
All right, our notable events. Stand by. All right. All right. Our notable events for September and our year-to-date. We received 2 citizens' complaints in the month of September. This resulted in a 25% increase compared to this time last year. However, September of 2023, we only had 1 citizen complaint. For internal investigations, we had 3 last month. This resulted in a 17.6% decrease from last year. Uses of force are up 17.6% compared to this time last year. It's similar to previous months for the year. We had 33 uses of force last month, but of those, 70% of all uses of force had been physical restraint. I've contacted Bureau of Professional Standards, and we're looking at to see what is causing some of those increases. And it's kind of come down to body cameras, better training, more in-depth training for new supervisors. So they're discovering things more, and some of the policy changes that have been developed.
So is that a different way of saying perhaps they're not really up, we just didn't report them as accurately in the past as we're doing now?
I would not necessarily say that. I think it's just people are more cognizant of what our criteria are. And maybe you are correct, but those are things that we are looking at and becoming more in-depth research. Should have something maybe next month or December finalize of why we are up higher.
Thank you.
Department of vehicle accidents, 26.6% decrease compared to this time last year. Again, similar to what we've seen so far this year, month to month. 10.9% decrease in pursuits. We only had 2 pursuits last month, even with a 154 documented failure to yields. So 2 pursuits for 154 documented failed to yields. That's pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
And finally, failed to yields. We had, like I said, 154 in September. 53% of the failure to yields are in the 1st and 8th precinct. And then that will increase to 67% when we add the 4th precinct to that. Overall, this is down 30%. We're seeing this as a trend, but we have not quite figured out why yet. We're still working on that.
We look forward to hearing about that too.
You bet. There we go. There's a heat map. There's your failure to yields. Obviously, the 1st, the 8th, and then down in South County. Too many papers here. Arrest. We decreased arrest from, it was 852 in August down to 606 in September. Guns seized decreased from 111 to 76. And our DWIs are down 48, down to 44. For DWIs, 50% of those come from a highway safety unit. They've been detached quite a bit. Officer O'Neill's out on FMLA. Officer Bryant had 18 DWIs himself. So that's 41% of all DWIs came from him. This is common to see these numbers go down at the beginning of the fall. People back in school, families getting back to normalcy, and then families getting involved in their children's school activities, things like that. So this is common to see from year to year at this time of the year, those numbers to decrease. Homicides are down 14.3%. We have 30 year to date compared to 35 last year. Aggravated assaults are up 45%. I'm sorry, by hands, feet, and fists are up 45%, but overall aggravated assaults are down 0.8%. The reason for that, after asking several of the precinct captains, it seems to be the juvenile issues at schools and after school, and then domestic violence. That's why those hands and feet are increased. Overall crime against persons is up 3% total. We had 3 homicides this month investigated by Crimes Against Persons, 1 within the St. Louis County patrolled areas, 1 in Northwoods and 1 in Ferguson. So there'll be 52 homicides total for the year. We know it shows 33, and the NIBR slide says 30, but we're counting homicides from those previous years, like I mentioned last month. Robberies are down 27%. Larcenies are down 18%. And again, motor vehicle thefts down 33%, but we know last year was an outlier with all the Kia and Hyundai thefts. Overall crimes against property is down 15%. For crimes against society, drug violations can continue to be down. Prostitution is up 233%, but we're comparing 10 for this year compared to 3 last year. Overall, crimes against society is down 18.4%. For calls for service, all precincts with the exception of Afton are below the moving average. Again, this is kind of what we expect to see fall when children are back at school, families are getting back to their normal way of life for the school year. Self-initiated, with the exception of Fenton, is below the moving average. We're not quite sure the why. We believe that maybe staffing issues. We have a lot of people out on FMLA right now, and then people trying to use up some of their time that they need to take before the end of the year. So that would, you can see the correlation between directed CFS and the self-initiated calls for service, both kind of being below the moving average. Top calls, again, are always going to be, most of the time, sick cases, and then self-initiated extra patrol and traffic stops. For traffic stop data, there is nothing out of the ordinary here. We've looked at everybody's data that's come through, and there are no red flags or any reasons for concern with that.
Captain, moving back to that last slide on the, would you add a slide next month, maybe just move it through 3/4 of the year that indicates how many stops total there were by precinct?
Any questions?
Captain, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Questions, anyone? Before you go on, I just wanted to make a statement about the use of force numbers that she gave. We just had a request from the media, sunshine request for our use of forces. Lieutenant Conrad is working on that. And what they're going to see is that we've had an increase in use of forces. Our CPE report is going to show that we've had an increase in use of forces. What they don't detail a lot is the type of use of force. And as the captain said, those numbers have gone up basically because of our transparency. What was not a use of force years ago now becomes a use of force. Being more transparent, we know people out there with cameras, every time someone sees us put our hands on somebody, they report that as a use of force. So we're detailing those things. And if you look at the numbers, the physical restraints is the issue that has shot our use of forces up. Physical restraint is if I'm going to lock up the captain here and I tell her to put her hands behind her back, she snatches away from me. I push her up against the car and she says, okay, handcuff me. That's a use of force. We're detailing those things as use of forces, and that's what you see the most of with that number going up. I was going to wait to report that, but it's here now since she discussed it. You might see an article in the newspaper in the next week or so about the increase of use of forces that we have.
Thanks.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Rachel Stark again from Research and Analysis.
That's okay.
I'm going to go over the Teneo update.
Thank you, Rachel.
This is our quarter 3 Teneo. There's 2 Teneo slides. This one is detailing each in progress bullet point that we have and just laid it out in a scorecard format. I want to highlight a completed item in HR is number 60, the formal internal and external satisfaction survey. The satisfaction survey was completed and the results were published, so we marked that one as completed, so it's exciting. Some major updates were that HR number 4, the analysis of promotions, transfers, and assignments. The sergeant process exam will be moved to Power DMS in 2025, so that was an update that we had. For PIO number 66, the creating a brand image consistent throughout the department is currently being rolled out, so we were able to up the percentage on that one. And if you're ready, I'll go to the next slide.
We have a request.
Yes.
Will you send this to us? Because as the chief mentioned earlier with his birthday, as the three of us get closer to age 37, it's harder for us to read those small print. So, and maybe next month, if you'll split those into different slides so we can see them, Rachel, that'd be great.
Understood.
Yeah, thank you.
Then the next slide just lays it out in a different format that compares quarter 2 to quarter 3. And as I said, the main change was that we had that extra one completed in HR. But besides that, they're pretty similar.
Thank you. Would you send us this slide also? Yes. Part of it, the request is Commissioner Wild and I met with a business group here back in April or May. We had provided them with our third quarter information last year, and they were very intrigued by the progress we had made. And so we committed to them that we would keep them informed of our progress. So it'll allow Commissioner Wild and I, and Commissioner Banks too, not to exclude him, but to send this information on, and then at year end, we'll send them a year-end close. If you send that to us. This slide also, that'll help us keep them informed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see the whole team. Hello, Marissa.
All right. So for the strategic plan update, last quarter, the board had some additional questions on 2 completed key activities, specifically with the satisfaction survey completed by the Division of Operational Support, as well as wanting to know the effectiveness of the call diversion program and the Bureau of Communications with our BJC partner. So I briefly just wanted to follow up on both of those before I went into quarter 3. So first, I'll actually start with the Division of Operational Support with their surveys. They developed a QR code to be placed in public-facing work elements within their division. That QR code would direct them to a brief citizen satisfaction survey, and their 4 questions they were directed to are just, did you get what you came for today? Was your interaction with police employees professional and helpful? Are you satisfied with your visit? And do you have any other commendations, criticisms, or suggestions? So the commander of each work element has access to view the results in real time, and we're hopeful that they're just gonna do it frequently. Just the questions are based more on trying to resolve problems as they come up. And I know the board mentioned stuff about potentially tracking trends with this. With the intent with the survey that they came up with, it's again more of a real-time thing, not saying that it couldn't be done, but it just might kind of be a little bit varied. The closest thing that we have currently that I mentioned previously was our citizen satisfaction survey. So that's required by CLIA, so we've been doing it a very long time. And with that survey, every year it's analyzed and it's presented to the chief for review. And we have to do that to fulfill our standard with it. The only problem is with that survey, it's hard to gauge trends with it because it typically has low participation. I think at most we have over 100 responses, and it's really hard to get a diverse representation of all of St. Louis County within it. So that's kind of what we have with it currently. So on the screen, you mentioned the call diversion program, communications. It was started in June 3rd. And from June 3rd to September 30th, there have been 99 distinct calls that have been diverted to BJC. What you'll see here is a breakdown. So they have different, one call could be classified in several categories with the CBHL 1, 2, 3, or return. So your numbers in those categories might not always add up to the grand total. However, it still doesn't, it's still distinct on it is, sorry, I can't talk. Captain Romo believes so far it's been a successful program, and as dispatchers become more comfortable with it, you're probably going to see more of an increase in it. So, any questions on those 2 items before I move on?
So 99, just probably to everyone, is that what we expected? Is that more than we expected? Is that less than we expected? I know we didn't have a plan, right? We want this many, but is this kind of what we hoped to get, what we thought we would get?
I'm not sure about that, honestly. And again, it's one of the things I had discussed with Captain Romo a little bit about this, and he just said, you know, it's a new thing. And people, they've noticed in our dispatch that they're a little just more reluctant. They're err on the side of caution to like, do I use this new resource? So, you know, right now you're probably gonna see even lower numbers. But the fact, it looks like you're seeing calls either frequently from month to month. I'm sorry, I don't have the breakdown with the monthlies. They're either consistent or they're growing. So it's catching on. So I think that's the main thing is you want to look at is moving.
Help is on the way.
I think help is on the way, yep.
I would say the numbers are lower than what we would like to see. I think that is for a couple reasons. Our telecommunicators, it's kind of a big ask. They're having to assess these calls very quickly and decide whether to transfer them. So there's a couple things that mechanisms for increasing that. I would look, and Captain Blake will take that over. I would look every month at the calls, and I would look at all the calls that we did not divert and try to identify calls that could have been diverted but were not, and then communicate that to everybody in communications and say, here are some calls that could have been diverted and here's why. And hoping, and I think we'll see an increase in those calls diverted. A couple ways, mechanisms that I think could increase call diversion is just educating call takers. And so I talked to Sergeant Panis about doing a video where we could talk about some of the success stories. There's a lot of really impactful success stories that they don't hear about because in communications, they handle a call and then they move on to the next call and they handle 100 to 120 calls a shift. So looking at partnering with our media folks and creating a video that we could put out to Bureau of Communications where they kind of see the impact that they're having to hopefully motivate them to increase and divert calls. Another thing we're starting to see, which I was excited about, is, and I think we probably need to educate patrol a little bit better about this program because you're seeing officers respond to these calls on the street and there's situations where the officers know there's a problem here, but there's not enough of a problem for me to act in the moment. So we've had a couple patrol officers call communications and say, hey, I'm standing here with a person and I've heard that you have this program. Can I let them talk to Donna, who is one of our clinicians? And so I think that is going to dramatically increase the numbers. And I think we probably need to make an effort to educate patrol about the program so that it gives the officers on the street an additional resource. The last thing I will say is BJC is so committed to this program that they've actually hired a second clinician that's going to be there in the evening hours. So right now our clinician works Monday through Friday from like 9 to 5. So they're going to hire a second person to be in communications up to 11 p.m. So I think that's going to increase the resources we have as well. So I think that this program will increase. We will see an increase in calls, but I think that the area where I wasn't as proactive enough was educating telecommunicators as well as patrol. So I think that's work to be done.
Thank you for the further explanation. I think we would say thank you for your high expectations. You wanted to come in and be big. My perspective is I thought 100 was great, right? If you do 100 over a month, that's roughly 100 over the quarter, 33 a month. That's one a day. Wow. For a new program, I thought you did well, sir. So don't beat yourself up too bad. It seems like a good start. We're crawling and then we're going to learn to walk and then we'll run. So I think it's great.
Captain, I'd also offer my thanks to you and your team. That communications group is just outstanding. I always enjoy being out there. It's a finely honed machine, if you will, and I'm sure Captain Blake will continue to take us to even greater places, but don't get too far away from that area. So we'd hate to lose your institutional knowledge there as well. But you've done an outstanding job.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So quarter 3, on the screen, you're going to see a comparison with quarter 2 and quarter 3 of this year. And as a recap, we have 5 overall goals, 23 initiatives, and 103 key activities. So last quarter, we were able to move 56 in progress key activities to 60, so it went from 54 to about 58%. This quarter is actually the first one where there hasn't been anything that's been completed by the committees. And that's not to say that there's not any work that's not being done, but we're just learning how to adapt this plan to fit the needs of the department currently, which we're starting to realize has changed from when this plan was written at the end of 2022. The plan was always supposed to be a living and breathing document, meaning we never wanted to get hung up on a key activity and say, oh, we can't do that. We wanted to adapt it as we saw fit. And this quarter was definitely a new venture and just trying to learn to accommodate that, since we saw it firsthand with a few of our key activities. I just wanted to touch on those. So one of those was in the Division of Patrol. They were given the key activity to develop a rotation policy for employees assigned to the Division of Patrol to improve morale and retention. So they did their research, completed their recommendation, sent it to executive command staff. Within that recommendation, they basically suggested that we not implement any rotation policy as they felt it might actually harm morale, and executive command staff agreed with them. So the Bureau of Research and Analysis discussed a way to revise this key activity into something that could be beneficial to the department and that would be pertinent to what we need currently. So we actually revised it and changed it to explore ways to reduce burnout and boost morale in the Division of Patrol, and that committee's going to start looking at that next quarter. The DCI committee also had a key activity to create a process to allow officers to shadow and assist detectives with investigations to increase experience and further their investigative capabilities. After their research, it was determined that due to staffing levels, long-term detachments, which would be most effective in accomplishing that key activity, is not feasible at this time because of staffing. However, short 2 to 3 day detachments can still be used. They've been used in the past and they're still currently being used. However, the long-term detachments would be more efficient to actually accomplish this key activity. So with that in mind, we opted to kind of swap things out. We're going to keep this one in progress. If staffing levels get to the point where it's something that can be explored, the committee will be reassigned it. Otherwise, we gave them something else to work on so we're not hung up on not moving forward with it. Some other key activities that are currently in progress by the committees are create and implement a traffic campaign to reinforce safe and defensive driving tactics for employees. The Special Ops Committee researched some possible incentives and sent their recommendations to executive for review. There's also formalize a process that directs commanders to engage their work elements. Hybrid Committee conducted an informal survey of employees to determine what they'd like to have communicated. And they got an idea of some of those items, such as precinct priorities, their commander's preferred method of communication, events that impact the precinct. And the Hybrid Committee is actually going to continue to brainstorm ways to address some of the things that they found with their informal survey. And just a few items that are occurring outside of the committee that are worth mentioning is one is to develop an in-house field training program with a central field training unit. So the first portion of it's kind of in progress. We have an FTI manual in draft. It's going to command staff tomorrow, and we're hoping that we're on track to start a new program that's outlined in it beginning of next year. And we're hoping by laying that foundation, we can start accomplishing parts of that goal. And there's a lot of other key activities in the strategic plan that kind of intersect with that. So moving that will help move things along. And we also have another item that's currently in progress, reoccurring outside of committees, which is to provide quarterly updates on the strategic plan progress. This quarter, we actually kind of went back and revisited kind of the whole living and breathing thing again on how to make it better. We obviously do this every quarter at the board meeting. We give the updates. We make infographics. We put those on the websites. We upload stuff in Power DMS, but we really wanted a better way to ensure that employees were receiving updates firsthand. So with the approval of Chief and Deputy Chief, the Research and Analysis partnered with Public Information Office to start quarterly video updates on the strategic plan. And it's uploaded in Power DMS for employees to see. We're also hoping by doing this that employees start engaging their division committees and they bring forth additional ideas to the key activities or just anything. You know, we're always open to making this process better, and especially this long plan, we want input from everybody. So overall this quarter, there's been a lot of forward movement with the plan, and it's really been a quarter to kind of better develop methods and try to get an understanding how we can adapt it moving forward. But we're looking forward to keep working with it, and I think what we kind of stumbled into this quarter will help us further down the line with it as well. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if you remember when we first started these strategic plans, you know, we got a lot of input from our citizens. We put it out to our department, you know, any kind of ideas you wanted to see in the strategic plans. And this thing that we're going to do now is advertising it to our staff out there is to continue to get ideas as to how we can improve this and let them know that we're working towards some of the things that we've initiated. So, human resources.
Director, please continue. I'm going to step away for just a moment.
Good morning. All right. So quick staffing update. So I don't know if you guys remember from last month, we kind of talked about how, I would report on how many vacancies we have. However, our allotted number of positions can fluctuate for various different reasons. So I decided to go ahead and report more on vacancy rate. So this is a percentage. So it's basically the percentage of vacant positions we have compared to how many positions we are allotted. It just kind of gives a little bit clearer picture, how it's kind of fluctuated throughout the year. So this is for our commission staff. And so far for 2024, our average is 15.1%. I did some research. The national average for law enforcement specifically is 10 to 15%. So, we're right in that average range. But as you can see, it really kind of peaked. Our number of vacant positions really peaked in June and July, starting to kind of go back down again. And then for professional staff, this has really fluctuated as well, and our average is about 11.5% so far for this year. And again, like that national average is really all law enforcement staff, not just necessarily police. So 10 to 15% is really what that range is. Now, as far as applications, so for the month of September, we were up 39% for our applications for our commission staff. However, 65% of those applications were either not qualified or they voluntarily withdrew from the process. So pretty significant amount of those applications just even, aren't of quality, or something happens within the process that they do withdraw. For professional staff, I broke it down with our three kind of top areas. So dispatch, we received 23 applications, not qualified or withdrew was 21 of those. The other two are in backgrounds right now. Security officer applications, we only received 10 last month, which has been pretty steady for the last couple of months, those number of applications, 7 of which were either not qualified or withdrew. And then care report clerk, we had 10 applications, and 4 of which were not qualified or withdrew from the process. So, it just kind of goes to show that we're maybe not reaching the right quality applicants, which I'll kind of get into here in just a minute. In terms of retention, our resignations are still trending down, about 28% for commission staff. And then retirements are up only 34% now. We did not lose a single commissioned staff member in the month of September, so that was definitely a thing to celebrate. I also did some research on the national average of retirements for law enforcement, and everybody's experiencing about an average of 44% increase. So really, we're right there. Everybody's kind of in the same boat right now as far as retirements go for commission. And then professional staff, kind of just that same trend. We're down 3% in resignations and 47% in retirements. And this is all to last year.
Good news.
Yes. So recruiting, our recruiters attended 10 events last month. I will be going to the Police Foundation tomorrow to their board meeting to request funds for an advertising campaign. And that's where we're really going to be able to focus a little bit more on exactly our target market. So that campaign is going to involve television, advertising, also to include streaming. We know that a lot of the target market that we have don't necessarily have cable. They have streaming devices and things like that. So the advertising will be done on there as well. And then social media targeted campaign, just really focused on both lateral officers and new. So we'll actually be running 2 campaigns lateral at the same time, but one for new recruits so that we can fill our June class for next year. And then one targeting lateral. So we're really excited about that. Looking forward to going to the foundation tomorrow to get some support on that. We met with 5 different agencies, really narrowed it down to one that has kind of the same vision that we're looking for. So Also, our marked cars for our recruiters. We're in the design phase right now, really excited about the direction that that's going. Excited to be able to unveil that, hopefully at the next meeting, kind of what that design looks like. We've gotten a couple different options, and those are looking great. So I'm excited to kind of get those out as well. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Can you talk for a little bit about the not qualifieds? I mean, that's pretty staggering.
It
Lose
is.
2/3 of the applicants.
It is, and that's common for us. That's, you know, kind of on trend with what we've experienced. But you know, a lot of times it can come down to they don't have enough college credit. They don't have enough work history. It could be that they have a felony arrest in their history. So it can be kind of a range of things that we put them in that not best qualified. It could be drug use. It's just so many different things that can really kind of put them in that bucket.
Before they apply, is it possible to have some sort of a handout to them that says these are automatic disqualifiers?
So we have something similar on our website, but you know, part of the marketing campaign that we're looking at is going to also make our website a little bit more user friendly. And so I think that that's something that we can definitely focus on is kind of having like a frequently asked questions or, you know, section that can kind of say, okay, these are automatic disqualifiers. You know, really automatic disqualifiers, we don't have a lot because there's a lot of other things that can kind of come into play and discretion that can be used for different things. So, but definitely, you know, we have it listed on there. Here's how many credit hours you need or number of years of work experience or military experience, you know, so we try to kind of spell that out, but we can do a better job of it. So it's going to be part of our campaign as well.
Could you also talk about CARES and records? How are we doing down there?
So CARE is still critically low staffing, and so we've really been trying to prioritize getting those applications as well. Records is in a little bit better shape. What we've been doing to kind of try and help with CARE is any long-term limited duty assignments that we have right now. So any of our officers that maybe are pregnant and can't be on full duty or long-term injury, we've been trying to send them to CARE to try and help there, kind of at least relief a little bit there. But it has definitely become more of a priority for our recruiters and our background investigators to really start digging into those CARE applications.
Where do those people come from typically? Like what's an ideal candidate?
It depends. I mean, usually private sector, but really, you know, it doesn't have a lot of requirements except that you can really talk to people, you're detail oriented and, you know, can type. So it doesn't require any specialized, you know, background per se, but it does take the right person. The other challenge that we have with CARE compared to records is that it's a 24/7, you know, operation. And so trying to find people that can work nights and just it's just a little bit different than records. And we pay the same for the two. So of course, if somebody's looking online and they see the two, who's not going to pick the 8 to 5 records? So there's just a lot of challenges that kind of come along with CARE that we're trying to work through.
Well, hopefully we can address the pay issue.
Yes, we're working on that.
Director, I'm going to build off of Commissioner Wild's question. So when we get into those not qualified, and let's just assume they're close, they've got all but 3 hours they need for their degree or their education, or they're 6 months short of having enough work time. Do we have the flexibility to do something with them? Can we put them in a role so that their last 6 months of needed work can apply for us and we don't lose them, right? They don't go back out and say, well, you know what, I found a job over here as opposed to coming back to the police force. Do we have flexibility to do that?
You know, it really depends on what position they're applying
course.
for, of course. You know, with police, you know, with the academy and all of that. So, you know, we do like the pre-hire program. So a lot of times if they're not quite at that number of credit hours, we can work with that. So it really depends on the position and kind of what we have available and what makes sense, you know, because we can always use the help, say in communications or CARE or any of that.
That's why we ask.
Yes, so it's always an option. You know, we also try and really keep good record of following up with people. So if they are just a couple credit hours short, aren't interested in joining yet because they are maybe going to school full time and so it wouldn't work, we do follow up with them to try and keep those relationships. So our recruiters do a great job of marking that in the system so that we can then follow up with them whenever that time comes. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Good luck tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Julie. I guess I can talk CBA since it was already talked about because that's our biggest issue with CARE and the record room is pay is being negotiated to get them some more money to do the job that they do. We do allow our care people to work from home to help out with the situation. And as Julie said, we're using some of our long-term disabilities for people in care. I think that's about all I had.
Thank you, sir. Next topic on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from our September 18, 2024 meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes from the September 18th meeting.
Seconded.
Any further conversation on the minutes from September 18, 2024? All right. All in favor of approving the minutes for the September 18, 2024 meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Amy, do we have any additional incoming communications? Anything else from an outgoing standpoint? Very good. Department handbook and traffic and ordinance version of that. Captain, good to have you back.
Thank you. This will be the first update to our traffic and ordinance handbook in 10 years.
Excuse me, I want to step out again.
Absolutely, sir. So some of the additions have to do with pedestrians, addressing scooters, rollerblades, roller skates and skateboards, additional protections for bicyclists. Our definition list in the old handbook that we had was about 4 or 5 definitions. This is expanded to include all sorts of what is an alley, what is a roadway. We've also added vehicle prowling and vehicle tampering, which are both state statutes, but they are covered now in our handbook. And then causing injury to vulnerable road users has also been added. Those are the main changes and additions to our traffic and ordinance handbook. Any questions?
No, I actually scanned through that. It's amazing to me the amount of information our officers have to know.
Correct. And all these will be uploaded into, or they are currently uploaded into our mobile ticketing program. So if they know what ordinance they're kind of looking for, the keyword, you can find it fairly quickly. But if you're really looking for something that you don't maybe use on a regular basis, on a daily basis, to have this printed in a handbook is very convenient for them.
Well, we can't vote on it until we can't move on it until we get the chairman back.
You'll probably have questions.
Carry on. Can you entertain us for a
I guess
while?
we can ask Amy, is there anything for the public forum? Nothing? We're just looking to approve the handbook changes. We need you. Just a second. Okay.
My apologies. May we have a motion?
On the handbook.
Yeah, motion on for the approval of the traffic and ordinance handbook, please.
I move that we approve the handbook as presented.
Second.
Any further conversation on the traffic and ordinance handbook? Nope.
No, sir.
All right. All in favor of approving the traffic and ordinance handbook as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Traffic and ordinance handbook is approved. Thank you.
Jerry told us nothing on public forum.
Nothing on public forum. Great.
You want us to read that while you're dealing with that, Brian?
Am I allowed to, are we allowed to do that?
You gotta vote on it. You gotta vote, though.
All right. Motion, the Board of Police Commissioners may go into closed meeting for legal advice and review of claims and lawsuits involving the police department, section 610.0211 RSMO and section 114.020.11 SLCRO, discussion of employee and personnel matters, section 610.0213 and 13 RSMO and sections 114.020.13 and 13 SLCRO, preparation and discussion for negotiations with employee groups, Section 610.0219 RSMO and Section 114.02019. Discussion of operational guidelines, policies, and specific response plans developed, adopted, or maintained by the department for use in responding to or preventing any critical incident which has the potential to endanger individual or public safety or health, where the public interest in non-disclosure outweighs the public in disclosure. Section 610.02118D RSMO and 114.020.121 SLCRO. May we have a motion to move into closed session?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second. Amy, would you do a vote, please?
Commissioner Ashford?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Wild?
Yes.
We are in, motion is approved. We are in closed session. Thank you all. Have a great fall, and we will see you next month.
We took a vote in closed session to come back to open session. Brian, you there?
I am.
Okay.
I move we close.
Do we adjourn the meeting? Maybe
Adjourn
we have a
the
motion
meeting.
to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Mike? Maybe a second, Richard?
Yes, second.
Amy, would you do a vote, please, to adjourn the meeting?
Commissioner Ashworth?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Wild?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Okay.